Hi friends, welcome back to Her Home and Harvest. If we haven't met before, my name is Alana. Today I just wanted to show you guys what the garden looks like. It's going to be pretty much strictly a garden tour because everything's kind of in transition. I probably will have a lot to do next week, but today is just one of those weird lulls where you are out in the garden and you just get to enjoy being there. So I wanted to take you around and just kind of show you what's growing, what's going to be coming out, and what's going to be going in. I have a handful of seedlings, like I said I was going to show you. Some of them, I guess I should correct what I said earlier, some of them are ready to go in the ground, but there isn't space just yet for them. So again, I'm just kind of like in a weird spot where I can't necessarily be putting my hands in soil at the moment, but I can still enjoy my garden. So I hope wherever you're at, you're doing the same, being outside, just enjoying it. I went for a walk this morning and I feel like my whole neighborhood was out there. It's a beautiful day, and if you can see, just blue and bright and beautiful. So I have really been enjoying the weather, and I think everyone else has too. One interesting thing is just that we had so much rain this year and so much colder this year that we actually are kind of set back than what we were last year, if you watched any of my videos from last year. And so my April garden is not as full as it was last year, but it will be. Just give it a couple weeks. It will be. So let's just show you around. Okay, I'm gonna start right here on the patio. We got a pineapple off of this last year, and then it sent off shoots, and I'm trying to see if I can get anything out of those this year. This one that came down from the bottom is looking fine, but as you can see, the rest of them are starting to look a little worse for the wear. I think what I might do is just come and pop off probably this one that's looking like it's struggling more. The main plant looked like that last year, and it still gave me a beautiful pineapple, so I'm not as concerned about it, but I'm not sure I want to leave this in. And then over here is a cucumber that we put in, a week or two ago. I can't remember now, but it's thriving really well. I put a cucumber here before, but it did not survive. It was eaten by pill bugs, and so I put down a little bit of Siligo Plus this time, and it seems to have done the trick. So that seems to be thriving. This little guy is a cherry tomato that I don't actually have space for. So I'll just keep uppotting it until I either find space or find somebody who wants it. Over here, I have more seedlings. These two here, right here and right here, are both jalapeno peppers. I have these two plus the one I'll show you in a second that's been overwintered for many years. This is a pumpkin. It's one of those like a pie pumpkin. So it's also not doing so great in this transplant pot. It's just that I didn't have anywhere else to put it, so I've just left it in here. I don't know if it's gonna make it in the ground. That right there is a cucumber that is ready to be put in the ground, but I don't have space for it, so I'm not sure how that's gonna work out. In here we have 4 tomatillos that are doing way better than the ones that already died if you watched the earlier videos. That is a purple sweet potato down at the bottom there. If anybody watched a previous video, it was sitting in here. It never grew slips, and funnily enough, the ones that are still in my cupboard grew plenty of slips. So I just threw it down there. I don't know why, honestly. My husband asked me to grow more cayennes, so I did. That's what those are. The rest of these in here were seeds that I started outside. This is supposed to be a squash, and I've got all of this growing up in it. I think they're just weeds. I don't think that the squash I planted in here is going to come up. This is a watermelon. Let's see. This is a pumpkin. They're little tiny pumpkins. They're like this big. So I will have space for that. This is butter baby squash. Oh yeah, I love these. I'm excited to try to grow them this year. This one right here is another one of those little pumpkins. These are nasturtiums, which only one came up, so hopefully that one does well. Let me see, what else do I have? Oh, these 4 here are lupins. And then this one is, a zucchini. Yeah, pretty excited about that one. I did want to talk really quickly about the lupins that I started. Here they are. One, I think that they're significantly better when you direct sow them, because I guess they put out a pretty significant taproot. So I'll have to get these somewhere soon. But I was so excited about growing lupins that I bought some more from a local seed company, and on the seed packet it just has a warning that lupins are poisonous, and I was like, oh, is that all lupins or just that variety that I bought from that seed company? Because nothing else mentioned that lupins were poisonous, and I googled it, and apparently all lupins are poisonous, with like very few exceptions that you're probably not buying from the store. Now that being said, it's not like, you know, growing it in your garden is going to be a problem kind of poisonous, but like if you've got a kid that likes to put things in their mouth, this is not something that I guess they would recommend growing. And same with, you have pets that like to chew on food or chew on plants, because the fruit, not the fruit, the flowers, the seed pods, and I guess the stems themselves are all poisonous. I just thought that was fascinating that not a single seed packet warned me that those are poisonous, except for the one from my local company. But I'm super happy I bought that seed packet, because now I know. I wouldn't have known otherwise, and where I would have put them, my daughter very well might have gotten into, or I don't want them growing anywhere close to my neighbor's yard because they have a dog. So now I have to figure out how to lift those up high. But I just wanted to share that information. Every time I learn something new, I feel like you guys are the perfect people to share it with. So yeah, lupins, who knew? Okay, and then next to the seedlings, these are potatoes, which are doing, I mean, they always look beautiful when they first get started. This is half the reason I grow potatoes, because you guys, they make my garden look so bright and green. And then, you know, towards the end, they look horrible when you're getting close to harvesting them, but at that point, I don't care. There's enough green going on in my garden. These are just some wildflowers that I threw in with this oregano. This oregano is not looking so hot in some places, but it's growing pretty well. I mean, like, it's well enough for me to still eat it, so that's all that really matters. And then I just threw some marigolds in there. Over here, we have a basil that I had started from seed and transplanted, and then these guys are basil that just are from seed, because I grew basil last year and I sprinkled the seeds that I saved in there. These are the green onions, and I have lots of green onions growing around. I love green onions. I feel like I could probably grow 10 times this amount and still not have enough. Those are beets my mother asked me to grow for her. I've never grown beets. I actually really hate beets, but I think, you know, everybody says that they're supposed to be fairly easy to grow, so I figured I'd go ahead and give it a try. And if she'll eat them, then it's like, that's a win. Somebody ate it. And then here's a pineapple from before that I popped off of that the pineapple I showed you earlier, and it's also showing a little bit signs of stress, but it is growing more. You can see in the middle, and then it is ready to be moved up into the next size pot. Coming around to the other side, this is cilantro that I let bolt, and it started to flower. I was gonna just cut it out and put something else in this, but I just love that it's flowering. And so, oh, I totally forgot about this pot. I'll put a jalapeno there. I was wondering about where to put all these jalapenos. I'll put one there. Anyway, so when I might try to get coriander off this, we'll see. If not, I'm just gonna enjoy the flowers. This is the jalapeno that's been overwintered for many years. Still getting some jalapenos, even though they're small, off this. I'm hoping it'll make a comeback this year, but in any case, I think it might be its last year in a pot. This here is our, I'm blanking, the bear's lime, and there were a few decent sized limes on here before, and anything that was of a decent size is now gone, it looks like. But there are still plenty, if you can see, there's still plenty of little baby limes. I haven't figured out a good way to protect this tree so that the winds don't knock off the fruit. These are some chrysanthemums we planted together in the fall, and I shouldn't have put them here because this is where I want to plant the pineapples, but they're doing so well that part of me also doesn't want to pull them out. What I might do is yank these two pineapples because they're doing terribly, and then put these in its place. So, because that's another same size planter. And then right here is the mandarin. That's Dancy mandarin, I think that's how you say it. Maybe we'll get some more mandarins. We got, I think, 10 or so off this last year. Even though it's such a tiny tree, it handled that pretty well. So hopefully we get more this year because those were pretty good. All right, so I have to share my failures with you just as much as my successes. These are zinnias. I planted 7 here, and like this one is surviving the best. Yeah, they got eaten alive, as you can see. by pill bugs. They were all eaten by pill bugs. So when I plant the next, or when I transplant the next round of zinnias, I will put down the Sluggo Plus. Do you see I tried to make like a little barrier to save that one? This one I put in a cage because when it snails, that solves the problem, but it doesn't do anything if it is the pill bugs, the roly-polies, whatever you call them in your area. This is where we had the tomatillos that died off, so we have to replant those. And then this entire section, well, actually first, this is a California Wonder Pepper. Don't know if I'm gonna get anything off of this because I started it too late, but it's happy enough. Look, you can see these pill bugs are just ruthless. But this whole section here, every tomato plant you can see is a Roma tomato, and they look pretty good. I was concerned about them for a bit because the lower leaves really started looking like this, if you can see that. But the upper leaves seem to be doing well. I've just been pulling off the lower leaves as I can without stressing the plant out too much, and that seems to have done the trick. And so these ones look like this, but the upper leaves have been doing a lot better. I'm also trying really hard not to touch them. And then behind the rose bushes over here, we planted two cucumbers. One of them is a Space Master, the other one I'm not sure about. I didn't label it. That's what I get for not labeling. And then over here we have dying pole beans on both sides. I was hoping to have pole beans go up in this, and they're dying, which is kind of concerning me because there's new soil in here, and they don't seem to be handling it very well. And I'm hoping that it's just because all the rains we have had in the last few weeks kind of drowned it, and not that there's anything wrong with the soil. Though here are the cherry tomatoes. There's one here and one here, and those are doing great. So my hope is that those will go up and over this trellis and fill it out nicely. I kind of figured that cherry tomatoes would be my saving grace if I wasn't able to get anything to grow up and over this trellis. A cherry tomato would, because they'll grow through anything out here. And then on the other side of the trellis here, this is a small sugar pumpkin, I think. Pretty sure it's a pie pumpkin, and I'm hoping I gave it enough space. My goal is to try to get it to grow up so that it doesn't take up my garden space, but we'll see. So far it looks really happy. And then these two are both the same type of zucchini, and you can see, once again, something is eating it. I did not put Sluggo Plus around these two, and it shows. Though this one has been really happy, so I don't care if they eat that one because it's struggling, but they need to leave this one alone. Over here, these are all onions that are doing great. I'm planning on putting watermelons there, so there's nothing there yet. These two are baby butternut squash. Yeah, baby butternut squash. And I grew those last year. They did really well. And then up here, this crazy mess, this is kale from last year that I'm letting go to seed. And that broke at the top. This whole process has been fascinating to learn about. So you can see the bees are really enjoying it. So I'm gonna try not to bother him too much. But essentially it flowers like up here, and the bees come in and pollinate it. And then these little seed pods, you can see these down here, start growing off of it. And that's where you harvest the seeds from. And if I come up to this bigger one over here, you can see the seed pods get pretty good size. I don't know, I need to Google some more when exactly these are ready to harvest. I'm assuming I need to wait longer, just like you would kind of wait to get dried beans. So I'm gonna see what happens, but you can see the bees are just all over this thing. But this has been a fun experiment. And then on this side of the garden, we have some bok choy, which I totally forgot about this. That bok choy needs to be harvested soon. This is a pretty good size bok choy. That's like good size for baby bok choy if you like it like that. But that's gonna need to come out in the next day or two. And then the rest of these right here, it's kind of confusing. There's regular onions in there, and then there's some green onions mixed in, and time will tell which is which, but I know I planted the regular onions well spaced. And then the rest of this around here, strawberries. If you watched my last video, the weird lettuce mulch will make more sense. And then over here, we have our 1, 2, 3, 4 cabbages, which I'll show you up close in a second. And then there's some carrots growing along here, some onions growing along here. And my plan is to put cucumbers in these beds at some point, and flowers, but obviously the cabbage are kind of taking up the space right now, so I can't plant those just yet. I did want to show you what the cabbage look like. This one I'm not convinced is gonna really come to a head. This one, however, looks great. I think it's almost there. It's pretty firm, but it still has a little bit of give, so I'm gonna give that maybe another week or two. And then this little guy, he's looking pretty decent. It's also getting like more firm, but if you can see, I mean, maybe it's kind of hard to see, but there's definitely some give there, so I don't know if that one is gonna make it in time. And then this guy, let me step back, this guy is massive. And then this actually, if you can see, has a lot of give, and so I'm just gonna let this one go. This is where I wanted to put most of the cucumbers, which, as you can see, there's no space for a cucumber there. This is more celery, not celery, cilantro, and it still tastes really good. It hasn't bolted yet, which I find surprising, because the other one obviously did. And then over here we have some very sad looking basil, and then some marigolds. These are more green onions here. And then these are purple globe turnips, which I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little turnip getting started there, and I think, yep, there's one here too. So I'm actually gonna thin. I just realized I found another little one. I'm gonna yank that out. You don't want to have these growing too close together or they won't get very big. The last thing I wanted to update you guys on was the trees. This right here probably doesn't look like it right now, but this is an avocado tree, and it pretty much lost all of its leaves. Last year it looked like this one, where it's lost most of them, but not all of them. So I'm kind of concerned about this tree. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. And this one's looking a little bit better, but considering this one died halfway back a few years ago, I kind of never really expect anything from that. And then right here are the Pluot trees. They're doing wonderful, just like last year. They're growing great, and let me pull you in close so you can see what the fruit looks like. As you can see, we have way more fruit than we're ever gonna need. Just this one branch, I'm not gonna count, but I'm just gonna go ahead and guess. You can't see, it's all on the other side too. I'm gonna guess there's at least 100 on this one branch. And I probably am not gonna let more than like 5 or 10. So I'm gonna have to because this is a pretty flimsy branch. So I'm going to have to thin so many off of this tree. And then this one is the flavor grenade, and it's like, there's your grenade, right? Like they just look like they're exploding with fruit. And the one next to it right here still got a lot of fruit, but not near as many. Well, I mean, that cluster looks like it's doing really great. But this is the Dapple Dandy, which is the really pretty purple one. A lot of fruit. I'm gonna have to come thin off of these two. And right here we have our 2 apple trees. I'm gonna need to come in and thin these. I'll probably do that today or tomorrow. They're both doing really good after I prune them. Like, I just cut off so much from them, and I was really not expecting much fruit at all this year, and they're doing really great. I already thinned this tree, and there's still a lot of fruit on it. This is the Golden Dorset, and so I'm pretty excited that we're gonna still get apples this year. And then here are the peach trees. There's 2 peaches. If you can see down there, there's 2 trunks. The one closest to us is the August Pride, and the farthest one's the Eva's Pride. The Eva's Pride is by far my favorite tree. I love those peaches so much. They're really tart and sweet. The August Pride definitely leans more on the just sweet side. They're both fruiting really well. I already came in and thinned off a lot, but you can see there's definitely a lot of fruit growing. And then I wanted to show you guys this too. Just this last weekend, some not happy bees, some bees came in here and rested on my tree. I didn't know that bees did this, the first time it's ever happened. They swarmed my tree, and I posted it in a gardening group, and everyone said, don't worry about it. They're just, their hive has been probably broke off, and they're just resting in the meantime. And I'll try to insert some footage of what it looked like. And then they actually left maybe about 2 hours ago, and this is what they left behind. And you can see I do have plenty of fruit on this peach tree. But I just thought that was super cool, so I wanted to share that with you. And then this is the Eureka Lemon, doing about the same as usual. and new leaves coming out. But yeah, this tree's always just kind of struggled. But still, it gives me lemons every year, so can't complain. And then this is the Cara orange, which was loaded with blossoms just like a day or two ago. And they're starting to fall off. So I'm hoping that while those bees were here, they pollinated a lot of these. And I almost forgot to show you, these are the seedlings that I had inside. They're getting a little bit leggy, so I figured I'd just let them get a few minutes in the sun, and hopefully they will be in my garden soon. And that is it for our April garden tour. I'm pretty excited. I think May is gonna look very different. There's gonna probably be a lot more growing, hopefully a lot less of me killing seedlings. So if you're interested in seeing what that looks like, go ahead and subscribe, and you can follow me along each month. I just kind of try to show you what everything looks like, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The reason I do monthly is, one, I want to keep track of everything that I'm doing so that I can, this is kind of the way I take notes. I'm not so great about writing things down all the time. But I'm a very visual person, and so this helps me a lot with that. And two, I just figured I want to show you guys what it looks like year round, and so you kind of get a more realistic idea of, you know, what does a garden look like in November in Southern California. So I would love if you would join me as we just kind of hung around the garden each month. I really appreciate that you came and joined me today. I hope that you have a beautiful day you can enjoy somewhere as well. But I thank you so much for just taking the time out to spend some of it with me. And I really look forward to seeing you guys next time. I'm so excited to be out and for it to be warm. And I can't wait to share this year with you. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.